Okay, so yeah, today I wanted to do a little talk about how to create and publish your own games. So I've been making video games for the last 27 years. I've started being an artist and gradually became lead artist, art director of various studios. Then I helped create studios from the ground up, and then I created my own game studios. So it's quite a journey to be able to release your own games, but I think it's the most gratifying experience I've had in the industry. And I know that a lot of students, they start a project and some of them will want to find a job, but some of them will want to do their own thing already. So it is possible. So I just wanted to talk to you guys about this. So I broke down my presentation into those sections. So there's an inception. What's your idea? Then how are you going to fund your game? A bit of legal tips. How do you progress? How do you track your progress throughout the development and test the game? And finally, once you launched, it's not the end of the story because you've got a possibility to run live ops to keep your players interested and engaged. So first of all, when you have an idea, so a lot of the time, students can be really enthusiastic about their idea and really wanting to get cracking. But the problem is, a lot of the time, it's not necessarily a very original idea, or it's not an idea that will appeal to other players. And then it's better to find out sooner than later before you waste any time on an idea that's not particularly popular. So why is your idea good? Is it just because you thought of it when you chatted with a friend down the pub and you thought it'd be funny? Or is there really a unique selling point for your game idea? So one way of testing that is to ask around your family and friends, and not just your uni friends who will, be too polite to to tell you the truth or to be honest, but just ask people who have got no idea about your game idea or the games industry and in general, and just ask them if they think there is some traction there. It's a good idea to have a roadmap so you know what your plan is. So this is my roadmap from a few years ago. So how are you going to fund your project and what are the different milestones? So give yourself some milestones already. When are you going to launch the game? When will be the alpha? When will be, the growth on different platforms? So in terms of funding, that's probably the biggest part of my presentation. There's a lot of different sources of funding that you can get your hands on. So crowdfunding is probably the first one. I should ask number 0 would be like bootstrapping. So, family and friends and yourself, your savings. What can you do to get to hit the ground running already? But then, when your funds run low, you can go to crowdfunding platforms. You can get tax breaks. You can talk to business angels. There are loans for startups that you can tap into, and from Creative England. There's also some funds will offer match funding, so it's worth looking into this. There's a revenue share that you can get as well from different organizations. The government gives you grants, especially these days in COVID times. There's a lot of grants out there to grab. And finally, probably the biggest tickets will be the VCs, the venture capitalists. So first of all, crowdfunding. So probably the most popular ones for games would be Indiegogo and Kickstarter, but there's a few other options, including Seedrs and Crowdcube. At the moment, Atom Universe, my company, is engaged in Seedrs, so I can talk to you more about that one later if you get in touch. So my advice to you before you do a crowdfunding campaign is to tell everyone, your friends and family, but also your community and your social media channels. You want to decide of a launch date. When is a good time to launch? See when there is a competitor out there that would launch, and avoid launching at the same time. and get people to proofread your campaign page, so you can share it and get feedback from people who have had success with crowdfunding in the past, so they can advise you. Seek advice from the platform holder as well. Kickstarter gave me so much support and feedback, and right now I'm talking with seeders like twice a day, and they're really helpful. So obviously, hear it from the horse's mouth. They will know how to make your campaign a success. So, for instance, yeah, Atom Universe, we did a Kickstarter back in 2015, and so we managed to raise 35K. So it's a good idea to have a stretch goal. So you aim low. I would say just aim lower than what you actually need, so you guarantee the success. Because if you aim too high, if you don't get the goal, then you get nothing. So I think Indiegogo is different, but for instance, Kickstarter and Seeders, you have to get your goal. So go low and add some stretch goals. So at least you guarantee a success, and it's good PR. So what you gain from crowdfunding is not just the money; it's also the crowd validation. So there's that your game idea is popular, and also you get some free PR, media exposure, and you meet people who want to become your partners. I met a few partners through crowdfunding, and also obviously it is good for your visibility on social media. So this is quite specific advice, I suppose, but it's just generally cross-promotion, boosting on your social media at the time of the campaign. If you have a bit of budget for that, it's probably a good time to do that. Do regular updates. I've just been told that by Seeders today, actually. Do regular updates, and there's a lot of money coming from the US, so make sure that you can accept investment from the US, because there's special laws around the US investment. So find out about that. So get help from an accountant on the finance side. You can get 20% money back from the HMRC on video games tax credit. So any expense on development will be 20% rebated, and also you can get back 40% on anything that's research and development. So in lay terms, it's programmers. You can get 40% back. So business angels are a good next step after the crowdfunding, I suppose. There's a few accelerators you can go into, like there was the Ignite 100 and Seed Camp. There's millions of them all over the world, and you don't necessarily, in these days, you don't necessarily need to live in the country to join those accelerators. So to find out, investigate, but it'd be good to kind of join, if you can join like one base in the Silicon Valley, it's you make very good connections, and you don't have to live there. And yeah, I would say ask fellow game developers as well to make some introductions for you. There's pitching events to groups of business angels. So there's business angel networks like Orion in Oxford, or Sorry 100 in Guildford. So sometimes it's free, sometimes there's a little fee to join them, but it's probably worth just for the access, just to practice your pitching. I just realized my camera is off, but I hope, I don't know how to turn it back on, but it doesn't matter as long as you see my screen. Is everyone still following, by the way?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
So once you've had your investment, so it's not just fire and forget. I mean, it's worth getting what I call smart money. A lot of people call smart money. That means the investors who invest in you, they want you to be successful, and they're normally quite experienced experienced and smart people. So, for instance, business angels who first invested in me are still on my board, on my as non-executive directors, so they can give you good advice. And if you keep them informed, tell them the bad news as well as the good news, they will keep helping you and guide you. Let me just see if there's another one. So some entities will give you match funding, like Creative England or Syndicate Room, Investor and Crowdtube. If you have managed to raise like 50K somewhere, just go talk to those organizations and they will match the 50K. So provided you have match funding. So if they see you have some traction, they will match it. So it's good to know, and it's always useful. You can get some loans as well. So the problem when you get equity crowdfunding or angels investment is that you have to give them some shares of your company. So there's only so much you can give away, especially at the beginning. So it's good to have some loans as well. Make sure you can pay it back though. But there's companies like Outset Finance or the FSC Group who offer some loans. So that means you can scale up the team faster. So I said the grants are hard to get. It's not so true now. I mean, with COVID, I've managed to get a couple of grants from the council where I rent my offices. Innovate UK is a good one as well. And then there's accountancy practices like Moore Stevens or advisors like Tenchi Partners who will help you. They've already applied for grants. They've already succeeded. Some of them will want an upfront fee, but some of them will work for just a revenue share. So try to find it if you can get some good advice on that. One good idea is to partner up with a university. So if you partner up with Solent University, that gives you more credibility to apply for a grant. It's a revenue share that you can get. For instance, Creative England will lend you money, but then they want to share your revenue. So be careful. I had to turn them down because I didn't like what they offered. So sometimes, it's a good idea to refuse funding if you don't think it's a good deal. So VCs, I don't suspect you'll talk to them. You'll get funding from them just as now, because they will typically want you to have like 1 million revenue every month before they talk to you. But it's nice to make some connections early on, because it will take months and months and months for them to kind of start considering investing in you. So it's never too early to have a conversation with those guys. Seek some legal advice. I know it costs money, but I've had a bad experience with my founder who left the company without helping me at all back in 2019. So it was a very nasty experience, and I wasn't sure I could continue keep the company going. So in retrospect, I wish I could have advised myself to write an agreement, a founder's agreement, just to avoid any bad surprises in the past. What happens if one of you loses interest and gets a job somewhere? But don't have an open conversation with a lawyer, because they will charge you by the minute. So make sure you know what you want amongst yourself. Write it down and give a clear brief to the lawyer and tell them, I'm paying you, ask them for a quote and tell them you're not paying them any more than the quote. Otherwise, they will always ask for more money and say, well, we spoke for 15 minutes, therefore it will cost you hundreds of pounds. So be very careful with that. Once you've got all the agreements in place, you can start production. So ways to track your production is, well, typically Microsoft Project and Excel, but also there's new solutions that are free, like Trello. I'm sure you guys are familiar with that at uni, but there's also Jira, which is a bit more involved. So we recently have been using Discord and Slack as well to chat and exchange documents as well. And finally, well, at the moment, at Absolutely Games, we're using Monday.com. And I know there's a free equivalent called ClickUp, but I haven't tried that one. But basically, just make sure that everyone's on track and no one is going off on a tangent. It's a good idea to do like daily stand-ups. I don't know if you're familiar with the concept, but basically every day you do like go around the team and explain what everyone's doing, what everyone's been doing the day before, where everyone is stuck, just to make sure you keep tabs on the progress of the game development. Testing. So a lot of the time, a common mistake is to assume users understand what your game is about and how to play it. And often people realize too late that it's not the case and try to retrofit the tutorial, or it's often too late in the development to change to radically the game design. So get people to play it early on, if people who don't know anything about your game, and see how they react. You can, and then take notes when you look at them play the game without telling them anything. Let them find out and see where they struggle, and then you can create a tutorial based on their feedback and iterate, and make other people play again and again and again until you get good response. Bug trackers like Trello, Jira, Monday, Bugzilla are popular ones in the industry. You can also use just an Excel spreadsheet. So once your game is launched, there's an arsenal of tools you can use that are called live ops. So it consists of community management, but also in-game. You can have in-game tools to keep your players interested in the game. And there's commercial incentives that, if you're on Steam, that you can take part in a sale, or if you're on PlayStation, you can have a seasonal promotion. So be in touch with their marketing department and see how you can keep players engaged and being featured in the stores. So you've got your social media channels. I'm not teaching you anything about that, but you also have dev blogs that you can write and share. It always triggers interest. It could be also like a Twitch channel where you do Q&A. You can ask people's email addresses, and then you can keep tabs, keep in touch with them. So, for instance, with Atom Universe, we had like 400,000 registered emails, so we could keep in touch with them, with our community on a large scale. We can do weekend events. So, for instance, in Atom Universe, our virtual world, we are doing like concerts, or we open new museums, or we're doing cinema festivals. So it's a good idea to have events in the game to keep people engaged and interested, and give them reason to revisit your game. And customer support, obviously. So if people are dissatisfied, how can they get in touch with you and notify you of bugs and problems? So at Atom Universe, we use Zendesk, but you could just have an email, I suppose, and organize your inbox. But if you want to be more professional, Zendesk is a good solution I've been using for years. And build retention mechanics inside your game. So when you have like a collection mini games, retention mechanics, like you have to come back every day to pick up something, or do a particular task, and it's like mini quests to give you rewards. They're very popular, and that's how you keep people interested in your game and engaged, and give them reason to revisit the game regularly.